It is NC State week. Biggest game for Syracuse this season thus far, bar none. No college game day, but a very good college atmosphere ready for NC State to greet them inside the Carrier Dome. Let's talk all things Syracuse football. This is Locked On Syracuse. Starts right now.
Are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Matt Bonaparte, Owen Valentine with you on your Monday episode. We're glad to be back on this wonderful Monday morning. Thanks for making Locked On Syracuse your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Owen, it is NC State week. Easily the most important game Syracuse has on its schedule to date. I can't lie. I am not 100% confident. I'm not 90% confident. I don't know if I'm 60% confident that Syracuse comes out with a win on Saturday. How do you feel?
My confidence meter is all over the place. I have no idea. I will say I've been seeing rumblings of this is the biggest game for Syracuse football since blank, and I think I saw like a 98 or things like that. This is a gigantic football game for Syracuse football. It is massive. It is the biggest game in the Dome in recent history, 100%, which I guess the Dome doesn't really surpass all too much past recent history. This is a huge game for Syracuse football, and for this program. And I do not know where I fall on the confidence meter, especially given some variables in NC State's camp right now, and things that are still up in the air. But Vegas likes Syracuse at the moment, and Syracuse is favored by I think 3 to 5 points, depending on where you look at this point in time, which is crazy to think that this season Syracuse is playing a ranked team in the Dome and is a betting favorite at this point in time.
Yeah, like okay, so how does them being, well, I'm all over the place. Does Syracuse being the favorite, like how much confidence does that inspire in you?
It doesn't change anything
It
for
doesn't
me
change
mentally,
anything for
but
me
it
either.
does.
I
It
was I
does
was
like it
hoping
does.
that.
It brought something up that I didn't think that was going to be the case. So it just like I'm thinking about it, but it doesn't change my thoughts on how confident I am in Syracuse to win or lose this game.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I when I saw that, I was like, wow, kind of put into perspective what Syracuse is doing right now. But at the same time, I was like, that changes 0% about how I feel going into this game. All right, so let's get to our first question of the day because we got a lot to get to today. Um, we got three different ones we could go with. I'm going to start with this. Devin Leary might be injured. We saw him come out of the Florida State game with an injury. He's getting an MRI. What is it when this
I
episode
believe it
comes
would
out?
be when this episode comes out, the MRI would have been yesterday.
Okay, so he's getting it probably earlier today, as if we recorded, or earlier this Sunday when we're recording. Um, if he doesn't play, how big do you think that is?
That's massive, to be completely honest. It is gigantic, and I think that's why Syracuse is favored right now is because of the Devin Leary situation and how hurt is he. He was in, I believe, for the remainder of that Florida State game, he was in a sling. It is the throwing shoulder, which is not good and not something you want to rush back by any means, which throws things up in the air. It's huge. I will say NC State has a very, very capable backup in Jack Chambers. He was a 4-year starter before transferring to NC State, and still can be a really, really solid player. I mean, he led NC State to a come from behind win against Florida State. I think they were down maybe 7-ish when he came into that football game, and he leads them to a come from behind victory. It's a different approach, which is something that I think you look at for Syracuse, and it makes life even more difficult. Is you've had this week of the bye week where maybe you're not entirely focused on NC State, but a good portion of your practices and your focus is going to be on NC State. And you now have to revamp and take a step back because you're game planning for a quarterback that you don't know who is necessarily going to play. And is it Devin Leary? Is he going to be okay? And you're just going to play and have that original game plan? Is it Jack Chambers? Is it a combination of both? Is it something that NC State holds close to their chest and you don't find out and you don't know who's playing? And now you've got a game plan both. This is a difficult spot for Syracuse
I
because
was going to
of
say,
the different ways that they play. Leary is more of a pocket presence, and I believe he was an ACC preseason player of the year pick for a lot of people
fantastic
and
player.
outstanding. But he is a pocket presence, and Chambers is a much more mobile quarterback. So that is a drastically different game plan for how you approach playing defense against Devin Lowry versus how you can, in theory, if that is the case, approach Jack Chambers, who can throw the ball really well still, has the experience that you need as a starting quarterback, but also presents that mobility challenge that Syracuse really hasn't seen all too much. Like, yes, Brennan Armstrong can move a little bit, but since Malik Cunningham, and even Cunningham has not been as mobile as maybe we would have thought he was this season. So Syracuse hasn't seen someone who's been able to effectively move in the pocket and get to space and be a dual threat quarterback by true definition.
Yeah, and Leary is fantastic, was fantastic and up until that injury. Last year was great. We saw him blitz Syracuse, just light them up
Yeah.
when SU went down to face the Wolfpack last season at Carter Finley Stadium. Leary, if he's out, I think, like you said, it puts Syracuse in a really brutal position because um, I'm thinking that people are going to look at this game like, okay, if you lose, you lost to their backup, but if you win, okay, you beat their backup.
Yeah.
So where like they like it's a really crummy spot because I don't know how much they can gain, but they kind of have everything to lose in a way. So if they beat number 15 NC State without Devin Leary at quarterback, I feel like the committee and the rest of everybody else is going to be thinking, all right, well, Syracuse beats another team that probably isn't as good as everybody chalked them up to be. So there's that to think about as well. But I mean, part of me really hopes Devin Leary does play because I don't like to see a guy get hurt.
Yeah.
And I want Syracuse to beat them at full strength. It's kind of, and we talked about this recently, it's kind of like the same thing from the Camping World Bowl in 2018 where Will Grier didn't play because he was getting ready for the NFL draft. It was like, yeah, of course, I was amped that they won the Camping World Bowl, but Will Grier didn't play. And I
Yeah.
don't know if they would have won. Syracuse stomped West Virginia in that game, but their NFL quarterback didn't play in that game. All right. Anyway, let's take. Or you have something to say?
No, I was just going to echo what you were saying, in that, obviously we're not hoping Leary's hurt, but maybe I'll take the different take. I'm okay with Syracuse beating a not full strength NC State. That's a bowl game.
That's a decent
That's a
take too.
bowl
I think
game.
that's totally valid.
I do not care how the sixth win comes. At this point,
Oh, that's not what I'm saying. I'm
I
not.
have
Yeah,
very
of
no. I'm
course.
just saying, like, if it's set against a Jack Chambers and a backup quarterback, so be
Yeah,
it.
I'm
And
gonna
very
take the win
much me,
anyway.
I will win any game in any capabilities. And yes, obviously you want Devin Leary to be a healthy quarterback just because of how good he is and how the career has been. But you will take everything that you can get down the stretch here in this next month and a half of football that Syracuse has lingering on the docket. You will take every advantage that you can get, and this is an unfortunate situation for NC State, but could be a fortunate spot for Syracuse in that they are going to get a very good team still, but a little bit weaker, and have a much better chance at getting a victory in this game.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's take a quick break for me to tell you about SimpliSafe. The numbers don't lie. In the last decade, over 4 million people have chosen SimpliSafe home security to protect their home. You don't earn the trust of that many people without doing something right. At SimpliSafe, your safety is on the line. And your safety, or excuse me, your safety is the only thing that matters. You should get SimpliSafe. I know this because I have it in my own home. They protect you with cutting edge security technology powered by 24/7 professional monitoring agents who always have your back. Here's why people love it. SimpliSafe has the greatest technology out there, and you can control everything from your phone with the app, watching the crystal clear HD live stream of your security cameras or the wide variety of high-tech sensors. With 24/7 professional monitoring, SimpliSafe's agents call you the moment a threat is detected and dispatch police or first responders in an emergency, even if you're not home or can't be reached. SimpliSafe blankets your home in protection with advanced sensors for every room, window, and door, HD security cameras for inside and outside your home, smarter ways to detect motion that only alert you when a threat is real, and even hazard sensors that instantly detect fires, floods, and other threats to your home. Monitoring experts use proprietary advanced response technology to visually confirm when a break in is real so you can get the highest priority police dispatch. Customize the perfect system for your home in just a few minutes at simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege. Save 20% on your SimpliSafe security system when you sign up for an interactive monitoring plan and get your first month free. Visit simplisafe.com/lockedoncollege to learn more. There's no safe like Simply Safe. Okay, we're talking Syracuse, baby. What are you giggling at over there?
That was the longest ad
It was a
ever.
long ad. I won't lie, it was a long
That was a
ad, but
lot.
I've got to tell the people
I'll
about
tip my
Simply
cap
Safe.
to you. You pulled that off.
But Simply Safe is keeping people safe, and I got to tell people about it. All right, Owen. Let's continue on the NC State football week. You're still giggling over there. You can't. See, the thing is, if you start laughing, then I'm going to start laughing.
All right,
You
I'm done
can't.
laughing.
You have to
I
pull
am
it
done
together for
laughing.
the both of us.
Fine.
All right.
Next topic. Let's go.
Okay. Syracuse ranked 18th now. They didn't play a football game. They jump up in the rankings. How about that, Owen?
It's an outstanding week.
Yeah, fantastic. The jump from 22 to 18 without playing football. Here's my question. Do you really think they're 18th in the country?
No, I do not. I see this team, and I will give them a nod right now because they do what we do every week. They sat back on their couch this week, and this week they just bumped up 4 spots in the polls, which is pretty awesome. I am excited that they're 18th. I'm fired up. I love that they're getting the recognition. Do they have, I will say this, I'm split. Do they have, based on their record and based on the fact that they've beaten 3 Power 5 teams, do they deserve to be ranked? Yes, I will say that. Do I think this is the 18th best football team in the country? Not even close. So that is where I'm sort of split right now. And that I think their resume warrants them being ranked. And I am very much fine with that. And I was a supporter of them and pushing for them to be ranked all up until last week when they first got that ranking. I look at this team though, and I do not think that they are a top 25 team in terms of talent, in terms of if you put them in, I guess, an NCAA basketball March Madness type tournament. Do I think they're reaching the round of 32? No. Um, but I see this team right now based on the active resume as a team that is deserving of being ranked based on the resume and the fact that they're undefeated in one of, what is it, 17 teams that are undefeated at this point, or maybe a
16.
lot fewer, 16.
Actually, that might
16
be.
teams that are
I'll count.
undefeated. I forget who lost this weekend. But I look at this team and I'm split because I'm fired up that they're ranked. I hope they stay ranked. If they beat NC State, I will change my opinion in terms of how deserving of the number that they get is. But I am not necessarily sure what this team is at this point in time just yet. They need to play this NC State game to tell me a lot. I am so excited that they're 18th. I think they're deserving resume wise. I just, if you look at this in terms of who is the best team in the country, being one and the 25th best team in the country is 25th, I am not entirely sure that Syracuse is number 18 on that list.
They're not. I mean, it's really difficult to say that they're the 18th best team in the country. I feel the same way that I felt in 2018 when they were ranked like 12th. And I don't remember what week they were ranked 12th, but I remember thinking like,
was it right before Notre Dame? Probably.
yeah, it probably was right before Notre Dame. I remember thinking, no way they're 12th. The 12th team in the country, no shot. Um, and I don't think Syracuse is 18th right now. I'm like you said, I am delighted that they're at 18, and I only hope for them to go higher. But it is just really difficult to believe that they're 18th in the country. Um,
Yeah. We talked about it with Max on Friday. They
yeah,
have what was it, the top 20, top 15 easiest schedules so
and
far
they
in
go to like the
college
ninth
football.
hardest one. What did he say?
And I think they go to the ninth hardest for the rest of the year or something like that.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's going to be this NC State game. I think I said this a couple pods ago as well. Like, the Purdue game was the biggest test of the season when it happened. It was
yeah,
okay. Are they legit? If they lose this game, it's another same old season. Whatever. They win that game. Okay, they're at least a little bit legit. Now you're looking at this game and saying, okay, how legit are they? Are they actually a real team? If they win this game, they're a real team. They're
yeah.
100% a real team, and they could have double digit wins this season if they win this game. I don't know if like the thing is there's the potentiality, like there was in the Purdue game, that Syracuse shows up and the fans are really loud. And it doesn't matter, and they just get smacked. And then we all are like, okay, we're back. They're 5-1, whatever. Like, and then they have to go through this gauntlet. So that's why I think it's kind of difficult to believe that they're actually 18th in the nation.
So I just before we recorded this was just on an NC State podcast for the last probably 90 minutes of my life. And every time they asked me a question, I felt like I felt so badly because I kept giving them the same answer. It's like this is where I stand now, but my answer 7 days from now is going to be incredibly different
Radically
because this
different.
NC and I said it for probably 3 or 4 different questions that they asked me, just because of how much this NC State game is really going to tell about everything that has to do with Syracuse football. Like this game is going to tell you about every facet of this team. How good is Schrader actually? Is this offensive line going to be exploited for the rest of the season? Is the D line going to be able to get pressure? Is the secondary as good as we really thought they were? The linebackers have looked
What is
outstanding.
Garrett going to look like?
Yeah, what is, I mean, Garrett Williams and Garrett Schrader. Thayer Thomas is a very good receiver and has sort of been their go-to guy. And I feel like Schrader has won one battle in terms of his, or not Schrader, Williams. Garrett Williams has won one battle in terms of his matchup with Keaton Thompson. And he has also lost a battle in terms of that matchup with Charlie Jones. So this is sort of the grudge match of the rock, paper, scissors best of three. And I'm curious, how he comes out in this. There are so many questions that we will genuinely have the answer to 7 days from now. And that is just a nod to how important this game is and what this game will tell us. And another big one that I brought up on that show for me was how can the Syracuse offense work against a team that is very much going to be able to play their traditional defense. And I think it's the first time this year that you're going to play a team that doesn't have to change everything in order to prevent Sean Tucker for having an outstanding game. That's not to say he's not a thought process in the defense, but NC State's defense is good enough and capable enough to play the defense that they want to play and just mentally have some changes and maybe a little bit of positioning wise. They'll mix things up to hold Schrader, who's mobile, and Tucker in for a little bit more emphasis, but they can play a true defense, which is going to tell me a lot about how Schrader throws the ball when the defense is ready to play defense in a passing game, and a lot about how Sean can perform in terms of playing against a high quality defense. I think that is one of the biggest things that I will take away from this game a week from, or
There,
less than a week from now.
there's also tape on how to beat Sean. Like
Yeah,
we've seen a couple of teams beat Sean now. Um, and I don't really know what they're doing in the bye week to try and combat that. But Babers and they better be, nose to the grindstone, figuring out how to get Sean Tucker the ball more than they already have, because in space, because just getting the ball and running up the middle is not going to work. Get the man the ball in space. Because NC State, like you said, has a very capable defense, and if you throw regular old draws and halfback dives and inside zones at NC State, the Wolfpack will gobble up Sean Tucker.
yeah.
Okay, let's take another quick break, and then we'll get to more. This one brought to you by BetOnline. It's your number one source for football betting info this season. Find all the latest developments, player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth articles and analysis on every game you can find. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sport wagering information with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including MLB, MMA, boxing, and golf. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. Bet online, where the game starts. Alrighty, we have one more topic to get to, and then if we have some extra time, we will answer a couple of questions. But that topic is, who would you rather be right now? Syracuse with a bye week, coming off of a bye week and a home game ahead, or number 15 NC State just coming off of a huge momentum swinging win over Florida State. Which position would
I
you rather be in?
I look at this and it's weird because you do want to be, and I'm gonna keep, although maybe it doesn't deserve to be left out of this, I'm gonna try and keep Syracuse post bye week under Dino Babers out of my answer, but it is lingering
Oh,
there in
I
my
mean, it's
answer
got to be there.
100%. But I look at this and I think I'd side with NC State right now. Even though they got knocked up a little bit in that game, they have a ton of momentum. It said a lot about this team this year in terms of them being able to come back from a 17-3 deficit with a backup quarterback and come out and win that football game. And although it was the stupidest thing that you could do as a coach to throw the ball in that situation, if you're Florida State, they pick up a huge interception at the end of the game to seal the deal. There's so much momentum coming off of that, and based on, oh, sorry, I just dropped my phone. But based on that, I look at this team and it's a game that they have lost in the past, and something that when they look at this year and the chances they have to have a really solid year, which they have been having so far, that momentum that they gain and bring into this week is gigantic. I look at Syracuse. Yes, you just demolished Wagner, but what does that game actually do? Nothing. And then you go into a bye week. I don't think that is where I'd want to be right now. I think that I like to side with momentum, um, especially because at least from the surface level, there aren't like a ton of guys on this Syracuse team that just need a couple days to get healthy. Like their injuries have been unfortunately season-ending injuries, and they're not like give someone a week and they'll be good necessarily. There's a couple of guys that are going to definitely benefit, but it's not as big of a like post bye week so and so's coming back, right? It's not like Stephon Thompson's coming back after the bye week, or Terry Lockett is going to be back after the bye week. So I'm going to side with momentum on this one because I think going into a road ACC game, I would rather have momentum than being the home team coming off a bye week. It's a little bit harder to get amped, I think, coming off a bye week,
Do I
even
get
though
to
the game has the
use
stakes.
do I get in this hypothetical, do I get to use the dome as part of my argument, or is it like in a
You
vacuum?
can, you can.
Okay. Because, like I said to you before we started recording when we were talking about this, if it were a regular football team, I would pick the bye week team. But since it's Dino Babers and co., and they have won 2 football games after the bye week, excluding 2018, it kind of makes me want to go any other direction. But maybe this year is different, and I really do think that the dome is different this season.
Yeah,
It seems I haven't been there myself. I'm hoping to get up there for the Notre Dame game if I can. But it seems like it's different. And my freshman year, the 2018 season, it was fine. It wasn't anything spectacular. People went to the games, but not that many people went to the games. This season, it seems different. And
yeah.
I think that that's going to play a huge part, and it played a huge part against everybody who stepped foot in the dome so far. So you know what? I'm going to say I'd rather be Syracuse because I
All right.
initially sided with you and said the momentum, but I think I would rather be Syracuse.
I think that's a fair argument. I'm excited to see the dome at near capacity. 2019, Clemson comes to the dome. It was supposed to be game day. They had 50K in the dome. I was there in a box, I believe, Weird brag. I don't know why that came to
Yeah,
my
that's a
mind. I
weird
forgot
flex
about
from you.
that. But it just like that game didn't have the moment where the crowd erupted. And
What,
I
the
felt
Clemson
like that,
game?
yeah, that 2019 Clemson game in the Dome was just like there wasn't really that erupting
The
play, that
41 to
huge
6
moment.
game, yeah.
Yeah.
That game
And
stunk.
it didn't have that. And there were a couple of moments that almost got there, but there wasn't that blow where the place really got to go nuts. And I think the crowd, in terms of numbers, can be similar for this NC State game. And I do think there is going to be that moment. So I think the Syracuse has its own type of momentum in terms of what the crowd can provide, and the, I guess, sort of cutaways we've seen from opposing coaches and opposing reporters. Right, Purdue said it was the loudest environment that they had ever been, or the Purdue reporter said that was the loudest environment that he had ever covered. You've been getting nods from coaches left and right about how good they are, including Dino Babers. Otto's Army has been out in numbers, even if we've been complaining about the number of Central New Yorkers and non-students showing up to games. This is going to have that momentum, I hope, and I think. Right, we're at about 45,000 tickets sold. We think at this point is what we've been seeing. Seems to be the number. I think it's going to be an awesome environment this weekend. I will be there. I think 89% sure. I think I'm buying tickets. I'm working on it right now. Gonna get a 4-pack for me and my buddies. Could be a 4-pack for you if we really hit that subscribe button. Who
And
knows?
with a case, there's 5.
There, there is a case for 5, not 6, not 6. I'm not doing it. But yes, get that subscribe button up. I'll keep bringing it. Yes, thank you, Max. I am the
Friend of the
guy
pod.
from the other guys. Free hot dogs for life. No drinks. Have a wonderful day. Wrap us up, Bones.
All right. That's all the time that we've got. Get more on the ACC. Go make Locked On ACC your second listen after you listen to this. Thanks for making us your first listen. We appreciate it.
You're the best.
Candace Cooper over there at Locked On ACC. She does a great job. She takes you across the ACC with the local experts of Locked On in 30 minutes. Make Locked On ACC your second listen. Owen and I will see you with hopefully a mailbag at some point this week, as well as some potential for another potential guest. Maybe we'll see.
Who
Uh,
knows?
but we will see you tomorrow. Peace.